Welcome back, Tribe, live from Thailand. Let's get into it. Why men are walking away from dating. It's posted recently, so it went a bit viral. See if this one can explain it.
After reading tens of thousands of your comments over the years, I know there are a multitude of reasons why even the most desirable men are walking away from dating. It can be summed up with the juice ain't worth the squeeze.
Okay.
If you're a man, let me know which ones resonate. And if you're a woman who wants to attract and keep a good man, you may want to pay attention and make some personal adjustments to make sure your juice is worth it. If you're new to my channel, I help men decode modern women so they can find, attract, and keep their keeper, or simply have better relationships with women if they prefer to stay single. Welcome to Just the Tip. All right, let's do this.
Just
Jake will be
the
our
tip.
fictional man ready to
That's
go MGTOW. 1. Unrealistic expectations. If you watch any of the Red Pill channels, you'll probably have seen a panel of high-maintenance, low-value women listing off their must-haves. 6 feet tall, six-pack abs, and a minimum of a six-figure income, or a trust fund, your typical Chad. Now, the truth is, those women are selected for their clickbaitable audacity. Just like men perhaps secretly desire the perfect woman, a perfect 10 who's an angel in public and an OnlyFans in the bedroom, men can be happy with a decent woman who isn't perfect, but who makes them feel good overall. However, though most women can be happy without a Chad, they have been brainwashed by both men and other women to think they should want them. And at the slightest sign of lack, they look for excuses to dismiss a good man who might actually be the perfect fit for them. Key point.
All stemming from social media, by the way. This is why so many women are unhappy, because of constant comparisons. Guys, one of the key things that you need to vet for is social media use. I'm telling you, it's shot up dramatically. It beats out body count. You can have a one body count woman that is addicted, or zero, that's addicted to social media, that has completely brain rotted her TikTok style. And she will never be satisfied with your relationship because she thinks she deserves whatever it is that TikTok's feeding her, the perfect lifestyle. Social media use has shot up to, for me personally, number one. My girl doesn't do social media. She didn't even have a social media account. She did in the past, but caught herself getting too addicted to posting photos and what everybody else was saying, so she deleted that shit. But again, she's also a bit different, a Balkan child raised in a village of 200, unvaxxed, all that other shit. It's hard to find these kinds of women, but they do exist outside the West. But wherever you go, whether it is outside the West or not, social media use, I see it here. I'm in Thailand right now. There's a bunch of the younger age chicks that are just like this, bro. Even when they're on the mopeds, on the scooters, just getting rides on the back to their destination, they're like this. Asian culture is kind of notorious for this. I didn't know until I really saw just how addicted people are to their phones. It's even, I would say, even wilder than in the West in general. Social media use out here is, well, I wouldn't call it social media use, but just the usage of phones is far more pronounced out here. Don't know what they're doing with them, all the messaging apps and the little games or whatever it is, but they use them far more than we do out in, I would say, like Balkan side of Europe. Quite crazy. And when you come out here, whether it's Thailand, whether it's Balkan side of Europe, Eastern Europe, social media use, number one. Okay, maybe number two, family life. Obviously, what's her relationship like with her father is bar none the most important. But I'm saying, apart from the key tenets of like her attraction, how she takes care of herself, all that stuff, it's like social media use should be the number one prerogative of what you're vetting for. Watch how she uses her phone, watch what apps she's using, what shows she's watching, how she posts on social media, how addicted she is to the comments, likes. You know, does she need to take her phone out to take a picture of the food or the location or whatever it is that you're doing? Can she stay disconnected for long periods of time without checking her phone? On the date especially? Or imagine if you go, let's just say you go for a walk to a nature park, something like that. Is she constantly on her phone recording shit? Like, can she stay present in the moment with you? Those are very, very important things to look for in relationships today. I noticed personally, I don't know what you guys think, but have you noticed those guys that are still dating? Because up until very recently, till I got a girl, I was still dating. It was worse dating the 19 through 24-year-olds than it was dating, say, the 25 through 30. There is a massive gap, technological gap of brain rot from the 19 to 24-year-olds that are super heavy into, you know, TikTok, social media in general, Instagram and all. and all that shit versus the slightly older crowd that still kind of grew up without tech being so prominent in their lives. I don't know. I noticed it. It's made younger women worse prospects for relationships than some of the 25 to 30-year-olds that grew up, at least on this side of, like when I say the Balkans, I mean, these girls grew up still in the village. They didn't have access to this tech. Now, if you're in America, you're pretty much screwed every which way. If you're in the West in general, where we all had access to computers, technology very, very early compared to the rest of the world. So whether you're 30 or 20, it's the same. You've always had access to this stuff. So in America or the West in general, I would skew younger just because you're just adding trauma. But here in the rest of the world, the 25 through 30-year-olds actually grew up without having that tech available. They're still too poor. It was still too expensive. A lot of them from the village life didn't have access to tablets and computers and all that shit until later in life. So they're actually well adjusted compared to their younger compatriots. It's nuts to see. I would never say that in America. Never. Always skew younger to avoid as much damage as possible. Because even the 30-year-olds in America are just as damaged, most of the times more, from hookup culture and dating apps and all that shit. Hypersexualization. But here in the rest, in Thailand, and I would say all the other countries in the Balkans or wherever, parts of Africa, Central Asia where the guys are, and Uzbekistan and all that shit, I've heard good things. Same thing, dude. The younger you go, the worse off you'll probably be, just because the TikTok brain rot. It really did do a number on younger women. It's like a firestorm that just took over the world.
While some women are setting up OnlyFans accounts, most women aren't pushing the Angel OF ideal. There's a reason. More on that in a minute. Example, Jake went on several dates where he felt that the woman he had met had a long requirements checklist. One date ended rather abruptly when he mentioned he didn't have a six-figure salary yet. Many men feel pressured by unrealistic expectations, leading to feelings of inadequacy and frustration. Unfortunately, some men have unknowingly encouraged women's expectations by constantly saying that's what we all want. If you say something loud enough and long enough, people start to believe it. Women instinctively know this. That is why women's body positivity started. Ladies and gentlemen need to stop telling women they want the perfect man and start acknowledging that kindness, loyalty, and reliability, along with shared values, compatible beliefs, and goals are what we all truly need. 2. Past negative experiences. A lot of men have had bad experiences with women, whether they missed the red flags that were there, ignored them, or were masterfully manipulated. Past negative experiences.
Was this the first woman that just straight up gets it? I might have to endorse this one. I'm not sure. So far, so good.
Can tarnish their outlook on all women. The unfortunate part is those men
just the tip and then outlick. What's on your mind?
often actually don't trust themselves to see the flags or to throw back a throwback when she displays them because he might believe that's all he can get. Example, after a painful breakup where Jake's girlfriend cheated on him, he found it difficult to trust women again. He decided to take a break from dating and heal to focus on himself. Past negative experiences can leave lasting scars, causing men to step back from dating to avoid further hurt. So ladies need to understand that just like we have psychological self-defense mechanisms to protect ourselves, so do men. Practice gentle understanding. It costs nothing but is a priceless gift. 3. Financial burden. Even though there are more women than men in post-ed nowadays, and many are making a lot of money, most women want a man to make at least as much as they do. However, supply and demand mean those men are in short supply and have plenty of options. Even a good man may not feel like busting his balls on a date to an entitled princess or provide a lifestyle that reaches beyond his income. Example, Jake noticed he was spending a significant portion of his income on dates and gifts, trying to maintain a lifestyle to impress his dates. He felt financially drained and decided it wasn't sustainable. The financial burden of dating can be overwhelming, leading some men to prioritize financial stability over romantic pursuits, with some fellas choosing to rent instead of buy or shop abroad where their money goes further. Ladies must realize wealthy men have plenty of of options, even if some of those options are gold diggers. If you have embraced the bounty of breaking the glass ceiling, you may need to adjust your financial expectations of men and consider other high value traits like financial responsibility. 4, lack of appreciation.
Dude, she is on the money so far. Okay.
Unlike many moons ago, now women can do pretty much everything for themselves or hire someone who can. How many times have we heard a woman say, I don't need no man? Well, I'll tell you, many times, too many. If a man isn't needed, it's difficult to appreciate him. No one thrives in a relationship where they feel they can be easily replaced or discarded. Example, Jake frequently planned thoughtful dates and went out of his way for his dates, but rarely received even a tepid thank you, never mind any kind of reciprocation effort, and he felt rarely appreciated, but instead taken for granted. Feeling unappreciated can be very discouraging. Men, like everyone else, need to feel valued in a relationship. Ladies, you can practice appreciating the men in your lives.
Kind of a sad state of affairs that we need to practice appreciating men for the little things they do for you. That's how far we've fallen. It's sad, dude. And I just posted something on my community post, by the way. That's even sadder. The empire is falling. It says American births account for just 16% of the U.S. population growth in 2024, guys. Just to let you know how bad dating, relationships, marriage is. I'm going to repeat that for you. Just 16% of the U.S. population growth in 2024 are American births. The rest are immigrants. Yeah. Great replacement. Oh, no, it's a conspiracy theory. The falling empire, dude. Rome 2.0.
Show at least as much appreciation to a generous man as you would to your best friend. 5, focus on personal goals. Some men have a lot on their plates and don't want the distraction that can inevitably come from dating and relationships. Whether they're young and want to get ahead in life or are older and licking their wounds trying to rebuild a life, sometimes the smartest thing to do is to go solo for a while or maybe even forever. Example, Jake is a high achiever in everything he does and passionate about his career and personal growth. He found that the immense effort he put into dating often distracted him from his goals. So he decided to focus on his professional and personal development instead. Many men are choosing to prioritize their individual goals and ambitions over dating, finding fulfillment in their careers and hobbies. Ladies must accept that in order to enter a man's life who has a lot on the go, she needs to be an asset, not a liability. Make his life easier by being in it. 6, fear of commitment. There's no shortage of relationship horror stories, many ending with the man losing his shirt, his house, his kids, some kids over there, or even worse. With the divorce rate over 50% and over 85% of divorces initiated by women, no wonder men fear commitment. Even living together can be a trap. Example, Jake has seen many of his friends go through messy divorces. The fear of a similar fate made him wary of committing to a serious relationship, so he opted to stay single. The fear of commitment, fueled by observing adverse outcomes in others' relationships, can lead men to avoid dating altogether. Women must acknowledge the truth in the stats. Though it can happen, reality shows that few women are losing their homes and paying palimony. Want to be a real keeper? Offer a prenup from the get-go. It can actually protect both of you. 7, cultural and societal pressures. We live in a world where every culture and society has its own set of expectations about relationships, marriage, and the roles men and women play. These pressures can be overwhelming, particularly for men who are caught between what they want and what they think they should want. Whether it's the pressure to marry by a certain age or expectations around providing financially or the stigma of being single, these societal norms can weigh heavily on a man's mind. Some cultures...
I don't think it's that bad. In the West, really what's weighing heavily on a man is the entitlement of women, the demands that don't match the looks. Obviously, a lot of women are overweight, bring almost nothing to the table but headaches, like she was saying earlier. And the financial pressure, honestly, this is an economic problem, first and foremost. Most men can't afford to take care of themselves, let alone a family, a woman and kids. The American dream's dead, guys. American dream is for rent at best. You will own nothing and you will be happy, as we've seen in the prior videos dealing with economics. It's too expensive to have a family. It's too expensive to even own your own place. We've been priced out of homes. How do you start a family when you're perpetually renting a studio apartment? And then you combine both your incomes and still, because of inflation, housing has run away from the average American. And that's not going to factor in childcare. That's not going to factor in health insurance and all the other expenses that you're going to add on top. Bro, we're hardly feeding ourselves. It's not easy. And it's not an ideal thing either. Like, no man wants his woman to really be working like that. Ideally, you want your woman at home raising your kids. Is that possible in the United States today and other parts of the West? Absolutely not. You both have to work just to be able to afford a decent place where you guys could live in. Forget the kids. So, yeah, like I said, remember the stats from earlier? How many births are from Americans? Not many.
Have even more rigid expectations, like needing to marry within a certain community or following specific traditions that don't align with personal desires. When the pressure to conform feels too heavy, it may simply be easier to step away from dating altogether than to risk failing in the eyes of society or family. Example. Jake comes from a culture with strict expectations about marriage and relationships. The pressure to conform, HD, ASD, OCD, PTS, mental health concerns. This one's big. Stress, anxiety, depression, ADHD, ASD, OCD, PTSD. There are a multitude of mental health conditions that can make dating and relationships confusing, overwhelming, and frustrating. Whether it's not being able to read body language or not be able to make eye contact or simply requiring more energy than a man has, the effort required for dating can be exhausting, and some men are bowing out. Example. Jake struggled with anxiety and depression. The added stress of dating exacerbated his mental health issues, so he chose to focus on his well-being before re-entering the dating scene. Men increasingly recognize the importance of mental well-being.
Yes, but the flip side of this, I'd say the mental instability of women today, the princess treatment, all the entitlement I said, the narcissism, covert narcissism, and bipolar disorder, manics, all this shit has increased in women, especially. Listen, how much are, like 60% of liberal women, right? Was that what the statistics show, are on some form of pharmacological pills for like anxiety or depression? 60%. I can't be quoted exactly on that number, but I believe it was like liberal women or maybe women as a whole. I don't know exactly. I can't remember what I read those stats for. Correct me in the comments. But when you have a section of the population that are over half being medicated, you tell me why men are going, nah, I'm good, bro. I'll go my own way. I'll go out here and get me a nice Balkan chick, a nice African chick, a nice Asian chick, no mental instability, raised in extended families, well-mannered, well-socialized, good, humble expectations, knows what a man needs, what a man wants, what a man expects, and humbly will serve, support, and nurture his dreams to build a stronger family. You will never find women like that in the West. Okay, hyperbolic. You would, but it's needle in the haystack, and you have to go to the boonies, and her father has to be present, probably ranching or farming or some sort of fucking tilling the land. And where the hell are you going to find that? Because most of your jobs are in the cities. The rat utopia. 16% of American births were from Americans. Isn't that an insane stat? We're dying. And we're being replaced. What does that do to the American identity as we so know it? Interesting to see in 50 years.
And may step back from dating to try to focus more on self-care. Ladies need to practice gentle compassion with men. It's a tough world out there for them right now. Women have been making great strides forward, while many of our men are falling behind. That is not my kind of equality. 9, changing relationship dynamics. In much of the developed world, feminism has brought with it a new attitude about relationships. Women who don't want a traditional relationship don't have to have one. They can support themselves and have kids by themselves. Well, this leaves a lot of men wondering where they fit into the romantic relationship model, or simply deciding to commit to not committing. Example. Jake noticed the shift in how many of the women he dated viewed relationships, many emphasizing casual connections rather than long-term commitments. It was difficult for him to find a woman that he was attracted to who had similar values. Changing relationship dynamics with a trend towards casual connections can make it difficult for men who are seeking long-term commitment. Ladies who want a long-term relationship should be very much more selective of who they have sex with. Promiscuity is not a top must-have for most men looking for love. Sorry, but true. 10, desire for independence. Some men and women can't be bothered with the effort required to find, attract, and keep a keeper. It's not only a lot of work just to get one good one, but then there's the ongoing maintenance. Every good relationship takes a lot of effort. There's a saying that men believe the work is over when he gets married or gets into a serious relationship, while women think the work is just beginning. Just like going to the gym is how you maintain a fit body, relationships require ongoing.
Well, she basically nailed all of it, honestly. First one that did a really good job. Some of the comments say the biggest thing is entitlement. Women feel they deserve a man who meets the requirements they themselves fail to meet. Big. Here you go. Over 6 feet tall, 6-pack abs, amicably divorced. I have cash in the bank, a house, etc. I have zero interest in dating or a long-term relationship. Social media has broken women's brains. Yep. Imperfect women rejecting men for failing to be perfect. Well said. No fear of commitment, fear of divorce. Yeah, there's the entitlement again. Some women think they're doing you a favor by involving themselves with you. No thanks. Yeah. Yeah, I'll just say one last thing. Being out here in Thailand, the amount of mixed couples that I see is actually insane. Yeah, seriously, they weren't underplaying it. Until you come here and see for yourself, it's nuts. And I wouldn't blame them. Dating in the West versus dating here, it's not even close. I see so many younger families, mid-age families, older families, doesn't matter. Like the restaurants we go to, they'll have an entire family there with the extended family, not just a nuclear family, and multiple babies in their little carriages and stuff. And, you know, the grandmother's helping with the kid, like somebody here by the infinity pool, mixed couple, again, white guy, Asian woman, had the mother-in-law there helping with the child. Like, where are you going to see that in the West? You're going to have to pay for a nanny, which is like take your half of your wife's take home gone already for a stranger. Here, having the family help is not seen as beneath you. Anyway, what do you guys think? The usual. Let me know in the comment section. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hope everybody had an amazing Christmas, and we will see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Videos coming soon on the second channel. Subscribe if you haven't. Links in the description below. Take care.